Welcome to Baghdad, the city of peace, the ancient world's foremost center of learning and intellectual exchange. Traverse the bustling city streets, educate yourself at the House of Wisdom, and behold the wonder of the Palace of the Golden Gate. You know, if you're going to claim that you're the ancient world's foremost center of learning and intellectual exchange, you are, I would say that the modern version of that is probably Mobile, Alabama. Don't you guys think that that's the current city of peace?
Mobile,
or maybe Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh's cool.
I mean, that's where
Pittsburgh, city of peace.
That's where Forrest Gump is from, Mobile,
Yeah.
Alabama.
He probably opened the Mobile, Alabama chapter of the House of Wisdom.
Today on the board, boys.
Baghdad.
City of Peace.
Bag of donuts. Do you know that's where the phrase bag of donuts came from? It's from Baghdad.
Joey
No.
Bag of Donuts? I don't
Yeah.
think that's
I think it's just like a New Jersey thing, right? Like, hey, Joey Bag of Donuts. Which is a cool, like, if your name is Joe, to have a guy from like New York or New Jersey call you Joey Bag of Donuts, it's like the same thing as having like a Southern woman call you Sugar, you know what I mean? I just like, you know, you're in.
Yeah, so you feel very privileged.
It's like having an old man call you son, you know? Son?
Yeah, puts his hand on your shoulder.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm. You feel like they like you, you know?
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Board Boys Podcast, Season 18, Episode 6. Today on the docket, Baghdad, a city of peace from Alley Cat Games. This is your board boy, Sultan Rob.
It's your boy, Boatin' It, TK.
And this is your board boy, Tommy Bag of Donuts, a.k.a. Boinker McDoinker, a.k.a. Thomas Campbell D'Souza the first.
Hey, Cam. Thanks for joining us today.
You say that like
before
I'm
you-
not like on the podcast anymore.
before you go and spend a month in Peru.
Can I just in case because I'm gone for another month, so I'm going to miss a couple more episodes. In case these guys try to push me out in favor of somebody who can actually be here more frequently, I'm not leaving the podcast, and I'm not planning on leaving the podcast. So if they put up AI video where I'm like, it's with a heavy heart, that's not true. My heart is not heavy. I take medicine. I take metoprolol. So,
If I was going to make any kind of AI video
Whoa,
about Cam,
HIPAA.
it would not be about leaving the podcast.
No.
Yeah. It would be a mixture of like him playing some Michael McDonald song.
Yeah.
We should get AI Cam in here when Cam's gone.
Well, AI Cam.
That'd be hilarious.
We've
Hey
figured...
guys, I like Euro games.
All right, I'll go find like Anthropic or something, and then I'll tell it, give me Cam's take on the next game we play.
I mean, we've asked it before,
Yeah.
and we've read it on the podcast, and it's
Yeah.
pretty funny.
Yeah.
AI Cam playing the board game with you, though, you would get like a notice, you know, like when you're playing like a video game and like you get like a notice, you have to click the OK button. It would be like the middle of your turn and be like, AI Cam just found 5 more points during your
Yeah.
turn.
It'd actually be at the end of the game. Like,
Yeah. Oops, AI
we're-
Cam actually
yeah,
won.
we're packing it up 5 minutes later. It's like, hey, I actually did it tonight. I actually found 5
You're
more
like looking
points.
at
Yeah.
the post game like stats, and it's like, oh, actually,
There's a row in the scoring column that just says found points.
that would be so funny for like a computer, like any computer game, to like be like, oh, hey, but I just realized this. We got board girl Gia here too. My 2-year-old is here. She's sitting by the mic. Do you want to say hi, Gia? Say hi. Perfect. That's exactly
the mic will
right.
pick that up for sure.
Yeah.
So Gia just whispered hi. I think we got that.
That was the most polite hi.
It was, yeah.
Gia, like she's on a wavelength that's basically like a sine wave, like very polite and very wild. So that's because Deanna's very polite and I'm a wild man, you know. Gia, you should put your socks back on. Your feet are cold.
All right. Do you want to talk about what we
Yeah.
play lately? All right. I got one here. So I finally got to play Lords of Waterdeep, which is, call it, I don't know, was it one of the original worker placement games? Or was there worker placement at all? I mean, like, I guess there was probably a couple other worker placement games before that, but
It was one of the earliest,
Like-
people would say it's like a really good entry level worker placement
Okay.
game.
I liked it. It was fine. I mean, it was good enough.
You played
To
it
play-
with both expansions.
Played it with
though,
both
as well,
expansions.
right?
Yes, that's true. And it was significantly meaner than I thought it was going to be with the intrigue cards. And are the intrigue cards part of the expansion, or are they always just in it? Okay.
They're just in it.
And I felt like they were wildly different strengths. I don't know if you remember that, but
Yeah, I mean, it's all wild. And the thing is, when you add in both expansions, you're supposed to randomly, like, take a mix of stuff. And that's the thing, the one thing I don't like playing with the expansions. I actually have somebody on BGG had made, like, a really good balanced set of cards and buildings and all the things. And I literally just have my game set up like that. And I've removed a bunch of stuff.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Like,
yeah, because, like,
not that I just play that often, but when I play it, I don't want to have to sort and resort all kinds of different things.
So you're saying there's a BGG post that says play it like this?
Yeah, like here's a really good set of things. Okay. And so you take out a bunch of different cards and things. And, you know, if you want to take some of the meanness out of it, you can always just go through and take out some of the super mean stuff too. But
yeah, it felt like, the mean stuff was mean. And then I had probably 15 intrigue cards in my hand, and all of them it just felt like they weren't even worth playing almost. And so
that's like when I was playing Sweetlands.
Yeah, you just had a bunch of cards. You're like, I don't know what to play this. But yeah, I mean, I can see where it's an entry level piece. For me, I would probably take some of the mean stuff out if you're trying to get newer people into the game. Because when you take a turn or two to get the thing that you want, and someone's like, well, I'm going to play an intrigue card, and everybody loses. You're like, okay, well.
Yeah. You know. Or like give your neighbor this thing or do that.
You get attacked or whatever it is.
But. I mean, I like it because I think most times people, like, it's a game that people can just jump into. The theme is enjoyable. As long as you have a version that doesn't have the cubes, you can kind of pretend like they're actually the things you're supposed to be. Like,
I like the cubes. I pretend they're people.
I always like to, I don't know. When you played with the cubes, it's like, I'm sending 2 purples and an orange and I'm doing this. And I'm like, I send my 3 fighters and 2 wizards out and they're going to go battle the Balrog or, whatever. Yeah. Like, I like to jump into the theme of it. I don't know. I've always had that discussion about this particular game.
Now that Baldur's Gate 3 is out too, with, modded up, you can actually imagine a party of 4 fighters and 2 rogues and like 2 warlocks. Because now you can have you have mods that have like 10 people in your party.
Right.
You know?
That'd be fun.
Yeah, it's neat. And it's like a super simple set collection type game. And you're basically collecting sets to complete the quests. Yeah. And that's kind of it. They're actually reprinting the game right now. Different companies doing it. I don't remember.
It's not Awakened Realms, is it?
No.
Okay, so there's not going to be like an $800.
Yeah, that'd be wild though.
Where every purple cube is actually its
an
own
actual
skull.
wizard.
Yeah.
Lords of Waterdeep is a game that would benefit from having that kind of thing, though, because it's like you could have like real buildings.
Yeah, I mean that doesn't surprise me. But I think they're reprinting it and they're just going to put the 2 expansions in the box. Like that's going to be the game.
That's cool.
I think the corruption mechanism. What did you think of that? That's my favorite part of the expansion, anyway.
It was fine. I got by it pretty hard.
You have to have an engine to kind of put them back.
Yeah, I did not draw any of those cards.
Unless you're there's a secret guy you can be who just those skulls are all worth like a set negative amount of points. So you just want to eat them all up anyway.
Yeah, I had a lot of intrigue cards to make corruption worse for everybody else, except for I was the person that had the most corruption. And then people would play intrigue cards, be like, okay, well, everybody else get 2 corruption. Like, oh, so yeah, it is what it is. It was fun. I liked it. I'm glad I got someone taught it to me, and I got to play it.
I definitely think that it was revolutionary for its time. But like at that time, I don't think people cared nearly as much about whether or not a game was balanced, and it really doesn't feel that balanced, right? But every mechanism in there is fun, and I think like it came out at a time when like I kind of recognized most of the stuff that was in the game, but I felt like it was one of the first games to start like kind of trying to combo a lot of ideas off of each other.
Well, it's cool because you can own your own buildings and that, and then like people give you stuff when they go to the buildings. I always thought that was a neat thing.
Which is a Kalis thing, right? They took that from Kalis. Or maybe there was another game that kind of did that before where like you buy a building and then like they get the main thing and you get a side thing. And of course, worker placement was still fairly new when it came. What year did Lords of Waterdeep come out? Like 2006, 2007?
I'll look it up.
I would guess it's probably about 10 years old right now.
Seriously, it's that new? Well, then maybe it's not revolutionary.
2012.
Oh, never mind.
I thought it was older than that.
Yeah. So there was way many years of like cool board game design in between like Kalis and Puerto Rico and Lords of Waterdeep. So maybe not revolutionary, but it was big, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think it was set to be like a really good entry level worker placement, straightforward worker placement.
And it probably became the most visible worker placement game. Like people would be like, oh, let's try that one. We know Dungeons and Dragons, or
right.
So
We played Battle of Hoth again, and I just wanted to throw out, that game is still super fun. It's a game that Bo and I can throw out on the table and play like in 20 minutes, and I'd like to play another one of the campaigns in there. He got really angry at me because I was beating him, and then he beat me in the end, and so we're still working on sportsmanship in our household. I don't know how that goes with you guys.
Is Bo strong enough to
Tough a
flip
little
this table?
What's that?
Is Bo strong enough to flip this table?
He is not.
Hey, you just see.
Speaking of which, I've been watching. Have you ever watched It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
Yes.
Yes.
Have you ever seen the episode with Chardee MacDennis in it?
Is that the game they all made up?
Yes.
Yeah. I've seen that one.
So I've never watched It's Always Sunny, and I've been just binging it.
But like always ends in them like sending each other to the hospital, right?
Yeah, and Chardee MacDennis is basically the game of games, and he's nailing the board to the bar, and they're like, "Why are you doing that?" He's like, "I always forget halfway through." Like, and he flips the thing, so that stops him from like flipping the table.
Right.
So because he nails it down to the bar.
Oh,
Anyway,
so he nails the board on top of the bar, the table. Okay.
Yeah, that's what made me think of that. So
Yeah.
and they actually have a second episode, which is a callback to the original Chardee MacDennis, where they are like they think they're trying to sell the game to a guy from Mattel.
That's funny.
Which is so funny. Anyway, I'm really enjoying It's Always
toy
Sunny.
companies had such cool. What's the word? Toy companies had such cool. Like what's like the personality, but of a business, or like an entity. They had like such a cool.
I mean, you call it culture right now.
Yeah, culture or like look or whatever. Like just remembering like the commercials and like. Like the Mattel logo just will never be like not burned in my brain.
Right.
And yeah.
I'm going to dive into the realm of Campbell a little bit here and just talk about a couple of games. I finally reached alpha status on BGA.
Yes, he's an alpha. Woo!
So,
hey, do you know that I've actually reached Sigma level on BGA?
Excellent. I've been playing a game called Red Notice, and it has a tagline. On BG it says Les Millions ou la prison.
That's new too,
Yeah.
right?
So you either get $1 million or you go to prison.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forget what the English translation
And
is.
that's what you do in this game. Is it awesome?
Yeah, so it is a 1v1 quasi-hidden movement game where one person is playing a counterfeiter and one is playing an FBI agent. And the mechanism for this game, you go back and forth. And I'd be curious to see, like they're just publishing it and putting out like in France right now. So I don't know when it's going to come to the US, but I'll definitely be picking this up when I can find it. So I'm assuming there's like a main board that you're like putting stuff down on, and then behind a screen, you're actually doing some hidden movement. But as the counterfeiter, I guess the shared part of this game is a board where everyone has the same set of tokens, and you put down the token you flip up a row of 4 cards, and you take turns putting tokens face down, and they all have numbers on them. One of them has a POW, which basically like nullifies whatever the person did on that. But every card has 2 sides to it, and there's actions on both sides. And so if you put your token down and you have the bigger number, you get to do both things. And if you have the smaller number, you just get to do the one that was on your side. And the things are like move around the board or get these security points to put down like these. The one person can put down radars and put down like roadblocks, and the other person can take those off. You can get checks. All the different continents in the world are different colors, and you basically have to have the right colored check and be in the right continent to then do the bank action to bank the check. And as the counterfeiter, you're just trying to bank $1 million in checks. But as you do that, you have to give the other player, like as you're doing better, you give the other player powers from like this row of cards. As the FBI agent, you just have to catch the person 3 times. So when you catch them once, they have to burn an alias, so they flip it face down, and then they burn another alias, and then you win.
It's like a after image or whatever, the D&D spell where you get three fake versions of you, and then you got to hit them before you lose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, you got to get caught 3 times.
Yeah, and this is by Catch Up Games. I've been having a lot of fun with it on BGA. Hopefully it comes out of alpha soon, and hopefully it becomes like more readily available. I looked on the BGG page, and it didn't mention anything about US distribution yet.
I thought I saw it in the betas. Am I wrong about that?
It could be now.
Maybe now, but...
Have you guys been playing it for a while?
Rob and I have played
a couple weeks, maybe.
2 or 3 games, maybe.
Yeah, I played it with a couple people. I've been really liking it. I know, Tim, I kind of just threw you into it, but you've got to kind of figure it out after the second play, maybe a little bit.
Yeah, I don't quite understand how maybe some of the actions, like how they pop off. Because you go like from the left or the right, depending on
every round of the arrow switches which side of the cards they go from. And so then you always resolve it from the arrow. So sometimes it's important to try to take earlier actions in the card row rather than later ones. And then like some of the superpowers are just like things that make your numbers bigger, or you have to play with your checks face up, or, different things like that.
Here's a little BGA thing. I always forget, and you're in this game, how much I love Bunny Kingdom. And they have the Cloud expansion on there now too, which I think is a good expansion. The Railroad one, I didn't really do it for me. But like, if I played Bunny Kingdom more, it might be in my top 10 favorite games. And I'm throwing this out there. Bunny Kingdom is the best game by its designer. Tim, do you know who the designer of Bunny Kingdom is?
Is that the guy? So Richard Garfield?
Richard Garfield,
Magic
the Gathering.
I mean,
I like Bunny Kingdom more than I like Magic the Gathering, but
I think Richard Garfield can't possibly still make any money off Magic, can he?
I bet he
does. You think he does?
Depends on how he sold it. I assume he sold it to Wizards
of the Coast.
Yeah, he sold it to Wizards of the Coast, so it depends on. I would, if he wasn't an idiot,
because he hasn't been part of development for that for over 20 years.
He should
probably.
Get residual.
1%.
Yeah. Like
if he does,
he should have kept 1%.
He's doing bonkers.
Yeah, so I don't know, but there's
who knows though.
I don't know what those deals look like. I mean, there's a chance, just like selling a board game to him, or whatever, that there's a chance they give him 35%. And there's a chance, he also at some time when it lulled, he got out and they paid him $2 million and he walked away. Who knows? Yeah. So
yeah. Well, at that time, like there was, I don't think any other, like there's no barometer for like how much money that anything would ever make like that. Richard Garfield also designed King of Tokyo, which is really good too. Richard Garfield is a good game designer. I think we all know that. I have a game to talk about if you guys are done, but we don't have, or we could keep talking about BGA stuff. Do you have more BGA games?
It does say he still makes money on royalties from Magic the Gathering. So
good.
Dang, Daniel. That's probably got to be the most lucrative board game design of all time.
I don't know how it wouldn't be.
I mean,
I couldn't think of anything else.
It's got to be like far and above. No game has sold that much.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, because, I mean, the only other ones would be card games like that. And there's no way anything's been more than Magic.
It's definitely the longest running one for sure.
Pokemon.
I don't know who the designer, who is the designer of Pokemon?
Right.
Just some group of people that probably worked for
Game Freak or whatever.
Yeah, then they had to pay Nintendo billions of dollars to...
Yeah, like probably some people like on a salary created Pokemon.
Yeah, that like worked for a company. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I just had a couple other ones. I played a game of Captain Flip recently on BGA.
Yes.
And it has the Isla Bamba expansion, which I didn't know existed. I got to get my hands on this thing.
That's the one with the prisoner map?
That map we played, I was like, where did this thing come from? That's sweet.
You got to get me in on those Captain Flip invites and make the turns short, because then they'll come to the front of my queue. I get you not inviting me to alpha stuff because it goes to the end. You know what I mean?
I'm just curious. It says US release, Luma. There's no estimate on that one. So maybe one day we'll see the Captain Flip expansion.
Isla Bamba.
Anyway, just, more stuff for Captain Flip was cool. And the last one, I just like kind of looking through older stuff, and we played a game of Gold West.
Yeah, Gold West is great.
I think Have you ever played it before?
I've never played it before, no.
Gold West is really fun if you like, it's got this really neat little Mancala mechanism. It's one of those that I need to pull back out. There's a lot of, I really, really liked that company's games, Tasty Minstrel.
Yeah, TMG.
Who doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, R.I.P. R.I.P. TMG.
Like Gold West and Scoville and Yokohama and Crusaders Thy Will Be Done.
Yeah, it was just a good run of games.
Yeah, just like, they're all really solid. So I'd be curious to
see that little dragon on the box and you're like, I'm about to have fun.
Yeah, to pop those out again and play them. I know Gold West got reprinted by Trick or Treat Studios and like they kind of updated it.
Scoville on BGA would be banging, wouldn't it?
Oh, yeah.
That'd be the perfect forum for...
Where's that at?
Like, because like it's, like all that movement, you don't want to knock stuff over. You're stacking the chilies, right? And
yeah, I would definitely say if you have a chance, give Gold West a shot. It's basically a Mancala, and then you're taking tiles off the board, and then you're deciding where to pop it, and you get points for that. And as things pop off the board, you can spend the natural resources, like I think it's gold, copper, and silver, to like move on tracks, or to buy these objective cards, or to put like claims down
Yeah.
like on this little grid that give you like
It's such a good.
points and
It's
powers.
just small and good.
And then like you're also trying to build like a big giant group of tents on the map as well. And you buy and you have cubes that you do to put those out on there, and then you're taking those tiles off of like these tracks, and then those score
Yeah.
depending on how far they come off of there. So yeah, Gold West rocks.
And you kind of have the choice of like developing your scoring however you want to, which is fun. Scoville, a game about chilies. I'm going to be down in Peru starting late tomorrow. There's a chili down there called the Pipi de Mono, which, if you speak any Spanish, means the penis of the monkey pepper.
Is it spicy?
Yeah, but it's like, I think it's just because it's a little tiny red pepper, you know?
Ah, yes, okay.
The Pipi de Mono. They use it in like ceviche a lot, which, sorry for that. PG plus.
Yeah, that's fine.
Dialogue.
It's all good.
So I could talk about a lot of different things, but I think I had such a fun time playing Pulsar 2849. Is that the name of the game, Rob?
Yeah, man, I need to bust that thing, which kind of goes with my Gold West theme, because Pulsar 2849 is, I forget, I'm not going to do the math right now, but it's so many years after the Gold
Yeah,
Rush.
so 1849.
Yeah.
So 1,000 years after, right?
20, isn't it 20?
1849 plus 1,000
2849?
is
Pulsar
2849. I think it's
yeah.
2849.
Oh, I was thinking it was 2149.
Yeah, okay, so
it might be that too.
So- No, it's 2849, I think. Now,
I mean,
now Tim's
they're
got me
doing
second-guessing.
some wild stuff with technology in that game.
2849. So 1,000 years later.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
okay, so 1,000 years after the Gold Rush.
Yeah.
That's how I'll always remember, because it's 1,000 years after the Gold Rush. You're out there trying to mine these pulsars instead
Right.
of gold.
Yeah. And so this game is one of Sushi's early ones. And I know we call him Suchi, but we were calling him Sushi last night.
Yeah.
You know, just.
Man, now I got to get that game out.
But
to play.
like, it's okay. So
Cena.
Pulsar has always been like in the middle of my Suchi. Like, it's always kind of been like the PH7 of my Suchi games, right? Worse than Pulsar, sucks. Better than Pulsar, rules. But I don't know. Pulsar is making its way up towards Praga and Underwater Cities as like, it could end up being my favorite one if I played it a few more times. It's so good because it's an easy setup. It's an easy teach. It's not super long. And the actions just totally make sense because it's just put a dice, match it to the number that you're like, whatever it shows you need to do. And then that's just your action, right? It's kind of like, you know, Castles of Burgundy, where you get 2 dice and you do 2 actions with them. And you can kind of get like a third benefit. There's a red die you can get once per round that like lets you do an extra thing.
Plus, it's got a sweet circular board.
Got a sweet circular board. And so if you ever get 50 points, you can just slide your score thing right across, which happened last night.
Yeah, you score chunks of points in that game.
So they have a 200 flipper on that. But anyway, the game just has fun mechanisms, and everything you do. Like, so the game we played tonight, you kind of have to do everything. In Pulsar, you kind of have to be really specific about what you're doing, because you get better and better benefits for building up on like the certain things you're doing. Like, you have a board on your home base where you get like better stuff every time you like go up the track. You like, the more pulsars you build, you know, that drip drops points. Anyway, what's fun about it to me, I think, is all of the major scoring mechanisms make you feel really good when you do them and make you feel really sad when you don't. So, major scoring mechanism 1, you're flying around and looking for planets to land on. When you land on a planet, if you land on it without like passing over the place, you get to place a disc on like a live planet that gives you a bonus when you do it. And at the end of the game, you get buku points if you landed on a bunch of planets.
Yeah, I love that.
2, pulsars on the board. You stop on those and you get to put a ring on them, and then you can get gyro spinners or whatever they're called.
Sometimes you got to put a ring on it, man.
Sometimes you got to put a ring on it. And you put those in there, and once you get that thing spinning, and it just takes a couple of actions to do it, you got to spend... But those things generate points for you at the end of every round for the rest of the game.
Yeah,
without any additional work.
I always found that fun. It's kind of it's a process, right? Because you got to slap the ring down.
You got to get the ring.
Then
you got to get
pop
the spinner, and then you got to make it spin.
Yep.
So really, like, there's ways to get spinners for free, but like, you're gonna spend an action to move to the ring. You're gonna spend an action to get it spinning. So it's a minimum 2 actions, and you get 16 actions in the game, and you can buy 8 additional actions. but it's hard to get an extra
Also
action
very
every round.
important.
But you want to get extra actions like 5 or 6 of the rounds. But at the end of every round, every spinner might get bonus points too. And there's a certain part in the game, usually where it'll get bonus points equal to like the die that was left behind. So each gyro could get you like an extra 6 points. And so you're trying to like rush and get all your spinners going early in the game. And that feels really good.
Oh yeah, the dice drafting is a really cool part of that game as well.
There's dice drafting, and it's a horseshoe draft, but it's a really interesting dice mechanism. There are 2 initiative tracks essentially. One determines play order, and the other one and like dice picking order, and the other one determines how many engineering cubes you get. And whenever you take a die, you roll all the dice. There's a 2 for each player plus 1. You cover the spot where the middle dice is. Like, so dice number 5, if you were counting up or down. And then basically you cover that spot, and whichever dice has more on the side, you like push like the lever, the fulcrum onto that side. And then when you take dice, depending on how close to the middle you take, you're going to move up in one of those initiative tracks or both of them, or down. And then, so that's like really fun. But like that big dice are way more valuable than the little dice, but the little dice can get you all sorts of cool benefits. So that's fun. There's a tech track that's super fun with tons of technologies on it. And there's not a tree. So if you haven't been playing the tech game, but there's later techs you want, you can just get involved. You build these transmitters that give you cool benefits when you build them, but also round to round. And when you slap them together, there's a chance you'll get red dice. There's endgame scoring. Dude, Pulsar is a good game.
How do you guys feel about like an episode a season, we just grab something out of the vault and review
and
it?
do Pulsar?
Yeah.
Dude.
I'm just saying, I just looked. We never
did a Pulsar episode,
reviewed
right?
it. There's a lot of older games that we never did.
Yeah, dude, some things age like fine wine. And I went back to Pulsar and I'm like, this is a 3, dude.
Especially as long as like you can still buy it or get it, I suppose. I don't know, something to think about. Every once in a while we do that. Like we did Coimbra.
Yeah, let's do.
Before,
and it should have been Pulsar over Coimbra. You know, like Coimbra's good. Pulsar, man, I played last night. I'm like, this game's great. Why am I not playing it all the time?
Yeah, man.
So, and then it made me think about just Suchy as a designer and how he, you know, I've been an Italian guy for so long, Rob, but I'm coming around on maybe Suchy's the best designer. Because all of his games, even if there's a couple that I'm not as big on, but most of his games are like hard 3-pointers for me. And they're all different. Like he does space and like futurism a lot as themes, but like the things you do in them are totally different every time.
Yeah, and it seems like he releases one major game a year, right? Which I think there's a lot of other designers that are, and now that I know a little bit more about board game designing, like it looks like they're tacking their name onto somebody else's design a little bit more, so they end up with kind of a glut of games that come out. And you know, so when you see 2, 3, 4 designers, who knows like what that actually looked like for the design, you know.
Yeah, I think a lot of Cranio games that come out now just have Luch's name on it.
Right.
And that's just because he works for them.
Right. He reviewed it.
And
he
he's
made
like
sure
a developer on it or something.
Right. Checked a couple things, played a couple games, was like, gave some feedback, and now his name's on it so they can sell some stuff. Like, so I think those get a little bit watered down.
Right.
With where Suchy is, I just don't feel like, I don't think there's a lot of stuff like that, right? So
yeah, he just owns his own game company, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, even when he's like, so Woodcraft, I think the other guy did most of the design, is what I kind of figured out. But that was the one game that came out by him that year, right?
Yep.
So,
and it was awesome.
Yeah,
and I've only played Woodcraft once.
Yeah, so he's just not watering his games
What's
down.
wrong with me?
Which leads me to say he is the highs are very high, and there's not a lot of lows because he doesn't have a lot of
Messina.
Messina's great.
Messina's good, yeah.
Like,
I don't know what I don't like about it.
I also like Messina, but it definitely got under the radar with his other one with the camels.
Rasafa.
Yeah, those two definitely flew under the radar for sure. I think part of it is
I forgot that Rasafa's Sushi. That game's awesome too.
Yeah, I think part of it is his games were partnered with Rio Grande, and Rio Grande sucks. Sorry, Rio Grande.
Yeah.
And now it's with Capstone, which is like more visibility, I think, and they just generally put out better products.
Is Rio Grande just around still because they're the original? So like they just have that name?
Because they print Dominion.
Oh yeah, the Dominion, right?
I guess. I don't know. Like, and you know, I mean, we're a little off topic here with.
Do you think Donald X is still making that Dominion money?
Yes.
He's the designer on all of them, right? Do you think Donald X is super rich for making Dominion?
Probably, yeah.
Which I mean, it's the original, right? So, yeah, good for him. Hey, can I tell you guys something I found out about the healthcare industry the other day that is insane?
Go. Yeah.
So, my mother-in-law and father-in-law were in the country from Peru a couple months ago, and my mother-in-law forgot to bring about half of like one prescription that she would need. And so we needed to go to the doctor to get the prescription refilled. So I called up my like PCP and I was like, hey man, can you see my mother-in-law? I didn't call my doctor, man. I probably said, hey doc. Okay. So, hey doc. Or maybe I just talked to the nurse. Can you see my mother-in-law? Because she needs this prescription. And he goes, I'm really not supposed to do that. You really should just go to an urgent care. And I'm like, that sucks because that's going to be another $100 or whatever. So we go to the urgent care and they get us checked in. And the girl at the desk is like, it'll be $310, but since she's not insured, it'll be $240 because we'll give you a $70 self-pay discount. And I go, it is what it is, right? That's fine. Let's pay. So we go sit down. We see the doctor for like 5 minutes. And the doctor's really nice. The doctor even called us the next day to be like, hey, I actually think you should take this prescription instead of this one. Because like the drugs didn't quite match up exactly right. Because they were like, she takes like a generic of a drug that only has a name brand here. Because the generic's like not, it's coming out next year or whatever, FDA wise. So we get the drug. All's well that ends well. We pay a lot for that too. Because it's like one of like the newer drugs. We didn't pay like an insane amount, but it was like a couple $100 also there. Anyway, not complaining about that. That's just life. A month later, we get a bill in the mail that's like, you owe us $50 extra for this doctor visit. So I call up and I'm like, hey, I think there's a mistake here because if you see, I paid like $237. Like I wasn't like, hey man, I only have $100 right now. Bill me the rest later. We paid the whole thing. So we didn't do like an x-ray. We didn't do any tests. We just talked to the doctor for 5 minutes. And they go, yeah, let me see what's going on. We'll look into it and just give me a few minutes. And they get back on the phone and the lady's like, well, I figured it out. They billed you for a 30-minute meeting with the doctor, but it took 45 minutes. You were in at this time and out at this time. And I go, no. We saw the doctor for all of 5 minutes. And she's like, well, just so you know, the way we have to code things is the moment you check in to the moment you like check out. I'm like, hang on. So
do they charge you for waiting?
So I'm like, so we're in the waiting room for 30 minutes there. And like, it doesn't matter what the patient is talking to, like with the doctor there. It doesn't matter if the doctor's like playing Candy Crush on the toilet. And I think I like to use that example. I also was like, so I'm leaving the doctor's office and I stop the doctor and go, hey, can I ask you, how are your kids doing? The next guy is going to pay for me to do that. And they're like,
hold on, wait. It's not just the next guy. It's everybody that's sitting in the waiting. Yeah.
So the lady's like, well, this is just how we have to do it. Like, and I'm like, well, that kind of makes sense because insurance is going to, when they get the bill and they're going to be those 45 minutes, they're going to go, well, we'll pay you for 20 because they have the stones to do that. And I just have my copay. So it doesn't matter if I'm at a 45-minute doctor's office or a 10-minute doctor's office. But for my mother-in-law who doesn't have insurance, like she's getting hosed. And they're like, yeah, this is kind of how it is. And I was like, I need to tell the world about this. This is insane. So next time my mother-in-law has to go to the doctor, I'm going to be like, you better not check us in until we're walking through that door. So, yeah.
So on that note, we've been watching The Pitt.
Mm-hmm.
It is by far and away the best like medical drama I've ever seen.
City of House of Wisdom, The Pitt.
It's
City of Peace.
It's so good. And like watching after the show, they have like kind of a how we made it kind of thing, or they kind of talk about different things. One of the things they've talked about, especially this season, is a lot of what Cam just said.
The insurance stuff.
About how like the system sucks. And like just explaining like loopholes or things they do to try to help. Like help like this dude was maybe going to die, but he's like, I already have $100,000 in bills. Like I can't stay in this hospital bed another minute. And like, well, we could do this or that. And like trying to talk him into staying, like, cause they, cared about the guy. And even though it plays through a day of probably like the most insane ER day ever, which is like, it's TV, right? So it's overly dramatic, I think. But
I mean, the healthcare world's pretty dramatic in the first
they
place.
portray it like there's just crazy, and it's kind of wild. Like, you'll just see people, and then because every hour of the show is an hour of the day, kind of like 24 style.
Yeah. It's another hour in the pit.
Yeah, the way they cut away from people and cut back to them, and then like later on they might just be like, "Hey, what happened to that guy?" Because like he got sent somewhere else.
Yeah. So, and then, in Campbell's example, he like cuts to Campbell sitting in the waiting room.
Yeah.
And then 45 minutes later, it's Campbell
It's just that 24 sound of the register
Gong,
going
yeah.
up, like cha-ching.
Yeah. Every time, it's you cut back to Campbell every 5 minutes. It's just like a rolling number going up on the screen.
Here's another crazy thing I learned about health insurance this last year that totally blew my mind. Medicare, which in my opinion is actually a pretty good system for people 65 plus, because it costs you like, if you're just a normal Medicare payee, it costs you like, I don't know, maybe $5,000 or $6,000 a year for like total coverage, right? If you have a Medicare supplement, or if you hit the max out of pocket on an Advantage plan, we don't need to get into it. But if you have a Medicare Advantage plan, which is one of the two things you can do to cover like the part that Medicare doesn't cover for you, and these things aren't like bad prices. They're usually like, it's usually okay coverage, but in certain states, it's like kind of the only way to go, because supplements have been priced out because the state's healthcare system is way too expensive. You have your list of like in-network and out-of-network places, you can go, or if it's a PPO, like if it's out-of-network, you can go there and get like some of it paid for. I learned recently that even though the insurance company, let's just say you have Aetna, goes and makes a contract for the year, because you re-up your contract every year on these Advantage plans. They make a contract with Unity Point. If Unity Point decides to pull the contract, they may do so in the middle of the year at any time they want and stop accepting the plan. And it doesn't create an enrollment period for the people on the plan where they can go get on another plan if they want. Which to me is like, it doesn't really happen, but like these companies fight more and more every year to like, where like the hospital will be like, well, we're not going to be on your plan if you don't give us these rates, or like the insurance company will be like, well, we want to have you, but we haven't reached an agreement yet. And so as things get more tense in like high volatility states that now don't have, like, you can't already have the supplement where you can just go to who cares. And now you have to like wait till the end of the year every year to be like, are they going to get this place? And then they can just bounce out at the middle of the year, which is like, we need insane insurance reform. And
so wait, are you saying the people that are being paid by the insurance companies to pass bills are going to go reform the bill?
No,
yeah,
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, I already knew it was like, there was like some loopholes in there that were bad. And like, to me, like, it's a fact of life, it's part of what we pay to live in a, like,
just to be clear, every other developed country has no issues with this.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
I'm not here to get political, and like,
I am,
which is fine, but I'm not like against what you're saying.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, like, it was something where I was like, this sucks, but like, it's how it is. The things I'm learning right now are like, they're red pilling me or blue pill, whatever the pill that makes you never see things the same way again.
Yeah,
that one in the health insurance industry, like, we need to like go like.
It needs to be exploded.
There needs to be like real legislation that, like, and I don't say we have to have like the same, socialized healthcare system as other places, and we do have a lot of development here in the health world because it's more lucrative, and like, that's good. That keeps people alive longer. That doesn't
actually. Sorry, I actually toured St. Jude, and they talked about that because they're not an actual hospital and they rely on donations from individuals. They're able to actually do more research. Because
interesting,
because they're not.
So maybe that's a falsity too.
Yeah, like, I mean, exactly, because they cannot spend, like, normal hospitals that have to go turn around and make money on these, call it the medicine that they're going to go research or whatever. St. Jude doesn't have to do that. So they're like, if 10 people have this disease, we are able to research it because we can use people's donations instead of.
We need to put the political tag on this one.
Yeah.
No, this is interesting stuff to talk about. I hope that the people wanted to hear about board games that held with us for like the 10 minutes we've talked about this.
Yeah.
But no, I totally agree. Like there's just money is going to people for no reason that we need so we can buy more board games.
Yes.
Like Baghdad.
Yeah. Speaking of Baghdad, why don't we get to
speaking of the city of medicine, city of insurance, Baghdad.
Yeah. How about Rob? Do you want to tell us what we do in Baghdad?
Good segue.
Hey, we cure some people in Baghdad.
That's true.
Dude,
So
doctors have a bag, the doctor's bag. Doctors can be a dad. Baghdad.
tonight on the podcast, we played Baghdad, the City of Peace, where you build the Golden Palace of Baghdad. It is currently ranked 5,399th overall. It is 7.7 on BGG. Came out in 2025. It is 1 to 4 players, best at 3 or 4. Playing time 90 to 120 minutes, ages 14 plus. The weight is 3.33 out of 5. And it is designed by Fabio Lopiano and Nestore Mangone. The artist is Roland McDonald, and the publisher is Alley Cat Games. In Baghdad, the City of Peace, you are playing cards down to your board. You're going to be evaluating symbols on the cards and then taking an action based on how many symbols you can see. You can have 3 cards on your board at a time. The first thing you do on your turn is you slide your cards over one spot to the right, and then when a card falls off, you either get what's on it or you evaluate a condition that's on it, and you get whatever stuff you get if you successfully completed that condition. And then there's nighttime cards, and if those fall off and you evaluate that condition at the time that it falls off, you get to keep it in your pile and you score points for it at the end of the game. If the card you played had a boat symbol on it, you get to move some boats around. The reason for moving boats is to get goods and then eventually dock them into one of these 4 docks that will let you score points. Then you pick one of the symbols on the cards you can see and you do the action. You can either, basically the big board is a big circle, and you're going to move your vizier into the next quadrant. There's 4 total quadrants on the board. And you move them either onto a tile and take it, or onto a space to build in the palace, or on a space to build a building. If you take one of the tiles, you can take like a student, and the student will give you more symbols that you need to slot those tokens onto your board. Like, it's kind of hard to visualize, I guess, but every board is going to be different, and there's 4 rows on each board, and each board has, let's say, the student symbol is the abacus, and there might be a 1 abacus, a 2 abacus, 3 abacus, and a 4 abacus. And you have to have that many of that symbol showing in your card row to be able to place the tile on that spot on your board. Well, the students give you an extra one of those symbols you can use 1 time, so you flip those over. You can help patients. They're the yellow tiles. When you take a patient, you basically get a good token that's on that. Then you flip your guy over and you put him on your board.
And if they have to wait the whole game, they have to pay extra coins.
Yeah, you got to pay extra coins.
They have to pay extra coins to the hospital.
The next thing you do is take a book. If you take a book, that takes quill symbols, and you basically, on the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th book you take, you can place these little library tokens out and take a bonus. Some of which are at the end, like the 4th and 5th one, are taking whole new actions, which is very good. The last type is an artifact. You're just trying to collect different kinds of artifacts. If you place this on a building space, you pay coins and you build a building. There's 5 levels of them, and you can build 1 of each. You start at 1 and you build up to 5. And the last thing you do is take the palace action, and you spend some goods and you build the palace, either the walls or the base or one of the little pillars. And if all the bases are built, then you can build like a little circular top. And if that's built, you can build the dome on top, and then it looks really cool at the end.
And if you don't get there like today, then you don't get the dome on top, and it doesn't look cool.
Yeah. And then after you take your action, if your vizier is next to a student, you owe them $1 because you did not help them out, and you got to pay them some tuition. And if you're next to a patient, you need to pay a favor because you just walked by that patient and you didn't help them. And as your favor goes down, you can gain shame, and that's not really good either. Let's get to the table and come back with our thoughts on Baghdad.
I ended with a little bit of shame.
All right, initial thoughts time here on the Board Boys podcast for Baghdad City of Peace. I'll go first. I saw this as an Alley Cat game. It was Kickstarter only. I guess I'm going to bring this at a slightly negative angle. After, I think, kind of after COVID and some issues, Alley Cat games, big box deluxe games like this, like they don't do stretch goals. They basically say, here's the box. But this is the only time they sell it. You might be able to find it on their web store or something, but Baghdad is not going into distribution, at least as of now. And maybe on a future Kickstarter, they will reprint it.
That's one point of shame.
It is shame. Like, for how good this game is, and I mentioned the rating earlier, and it's been out a little while. I don't feel the rating's going to go up that much just because this is not going to be a super available game because of the way they do things.
And it's not very high because there's probably not enough people that have been able to play it, right?
Correct.
So, yeah.
So anyway, two of my favorite designers were on the box, and it looked like a giant rondel, which is always fun. So I jumped on it.
Yeah, for me, we had just kind of gotten through some Shackleton Bay stuff, which the same two guys designed. So I was looking forward to this one. I would say not as much as maybe I don't know why, but the theme and stuff didn't maybe catch me as much. But after hearing good things from Rob, I was pretty excited to play it.
I made some comments about like thinking Fabio Lopiano is like just fine. I like Nestore. If I could be named Fabio or Nestore, I think I would choose Nestore, but it would be close.
What if you were Fabio Nestore?
Like that was my first name, middle name?
Yeah.
I could be FN, FND, FN D'Souza.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool. But we played this game, and about 2 turns into it, I was like, this game's so tight. And I think what made me realize I was having a ton of fun right from the very beginning is there's like every choice is kind of like cool. Hey, what card am I going to play? I got to get my symbols out on the board, but the card I play is going to give me something in a few turns when it falls off naturally from the first cards you get. But like then I have to start figuring out if I can do the things on the cards to get the benefits. Then you start looking at like the different end game things and like how you get points. And it's like, okay, well, I have to figure out how to like maximize these 2 things so I can crush them together for points, whether it's building things. There's, end game points on buildings, but you have to do one of the other things. There's end game points for the boats, but you have to get the boats to the end of the track. And so everything you're doing in this game kind of pushes you towards doing something else. And there's enough time, I think, to do like 3 or 4 of the things really well. And then I'll kind of do a little bit of the other things. Like you kind of touch all of the actions maybe once or twice, or like maybe you skip one action, but the game feels like, I think it goes a little bit longer, not in terms of time, but in terms of actions, just so you can kind of finally finish doing the things you need to get done. And I think it ended right at the time where I was like, yes, and I just finished that. And so, yeah, I mean, I like to go into new games with the mindset of like, I'm going to laser focus on this one aspect that looks lucrative at the beginning. And then I just kind of built my game around that. I've done a lot of this. So how do I get more points based on that I've already done a lot of this? And this game sets you up easily to do that, I think. So,
yeah. One of my biggest pros of this game is the flow of the turn is really cool. So you play the card and then you check your boats and, call it boat movement would normally be an action. It's like supplemental to this, right? So you're trying to do that. So you get to move your boats, you might get a bonus there, and then you get to move your guy around this rondelle and pick up a tile.
Sorry, super mega rondelle. Is that what it's called?
Super mega rondelle, yeah. And when you pick up the tile, like it matters where it's at, what the tile is. So it's not always just, well, I want to do this action. What's like, well, if I want to do this action, it's going to cost me 2 coins in a favor or something like that. So maybe I'll do this other thing. And maybe there's not even that action in the quadrant you're next to.
Right.
So I really think that's great. And then the last part of your turn is picking a card, which is also like a huge decision. So I just like all 3 parts of your turn feel like they're really meaningful decisions. And, the last part, which would normally be like maybe a throwaway of get a card, like that sets up your next 3 turns, or it could, right? And yeah, you always have 3 cards in your hand. So it's just every time you turn around, you're making pretty hard decisions, and they all can be painful, which I think is probably all three.
And I noticed that like the worst parts of the game for me, like when I felt like I was accomplishing the least, is when I had made bad card picking up decisions.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
So, which taught me really quick, like, you have to look at the tops of the cards, and then, but like, if you don't look at the tops of the cards, you're not going to get to do the stuff you want. But then, as it goes on, if you don't look at the bottoms of the cards, like, you're not going to get the juice or the points to, from them to make the stuff you did worth it. So, yeah, it's cool. It's just really cool.
I could almost I bet you could play a game of this and just forget about the bottom part of the cards, especially the point part. I think that's what really derailed me this time, was that and just focus on the symbols at the top.
So I got 21 points from the bottoms of my cards. That was a lot of the points.
Sure, but you also scored 50 points. Like, had I not derailed myself with taking some actions that maybe wouldn't have got me as many points and focused more on building, putting my guys out to score, like, I think you could do just as well in this game without doing that too.
Well, it's like if you get out of the shower and you're drying your hair off and your body, and then you wrap the towel around your waist and you put on your shirt and then you go put on your pants. It's first you get the tops, then you get the bottoms. So you have to figure out what the top of the card you need. But then as you start getting more stuff, then you got to start looking at the bottoms. So you got to figure out what jeans you're going to wear. You know what I mean? If you don't wear nice jeans, holes in the jeans, you don't get the points.
Yeah.
You don't want holes, no holes.
Yeah, I think the biggest pro for me is I've played this 5 times now, and I've seen winners do everything different. Like, my first 3 games of this, I scored about half what I've scored the last 2 times, because I am a person that tends to meander and do lots of everything in games, and you have to hammer certain things. And you actually get more points if you can land more boats on the objectives than if you do builders. But then you got to take a lot of boat move cards, and if other people are taking that, then it's hard. I think it's one of those things where if you kind of just let someone do something and if you're doing something that nobody else is doing that behooves you, although nobody was really in my jelly today, and I did well, but I didn't win. So I don't know. This is like up there with the Druids of Adora with me for games that I really like that I just haven't cracked. Like, my first couple games were like 40, 50, 60 points. My last 2 games have been in the 90s, and winning scores now have been like in the low 100s.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, for both of those games, I feel like the meander factor can be high. Like, Druids can get you a little bit in, like, where maybe what's next to you, what's easy to get to, you might, oh, no, maybe I'll go get a flower this time or whatever. Same thing with this one. Like, I got sidetracked by the bottoms of my cards, right?
Yeah, I don't think you can't do everything in this. Like, you're not going to put all your builders out, and you're not going to build all your buildings.
Yep.
So, like, you can pick one of those things, but then if you don't build all your buildings and get the end point building thing, like, I always feel like if you're going to build buildings, you have to build all your buildings to get to that. Because if you don't, you just built some. Because I've built buildings before, and that's happened to me. I build some, but I don't get points out of that, and then I didn't actually get to do all of another thing or fill out complete rows on my board. There are cool ways in here, though, when you get stuff to combo into doing other actions. Like, I think taking the cards that give you the action, if you can successfully complete the objective on it, are great. And then the books are fun because the 4th and 5th book spot is basically just taking a free action. You still always have to have the symbols you want to use with them, though, that is good. Another big pro for me is the rule book is really, really good in this game. The player aid card is really good. Like, you can teach straight off of it. It has all the things you do in a turn, and then the bonus actions. The player boards are really nice, and they're asymmetrical, which I think kind of leads to maybe like people playing the game in slightly different ways, so you're not always on top of each other. Like, I broke my rule for this game at BGG Con about at BGG Con, you learn lots of games out of the, like, right there. But I learned the game out of the rule book and played it with 3 complete strangers, and we all had a great time. And it did not take that long to get through this rule book of, a 3.5 weight game. So,
yeah, I mean, if you have played some board games before, all the mechanisms in this kind of make sense, right? Like,
yeah,
you know, like when you place guys down, you have to have the symbol showing to be able to place them in the spot. If you have 1, you can put them in the 1 spot. If you have 4, you could put them in the 4 spot. Or that kind of stuff makes sense. The drawing the card, sliding it off, and I don't know that there's a game that like does all of the stuff together, but
I really like the card row of icons.
yeah,
And I think that is somewhat unique. Like there's lots of games I think that have like action powers based on like symbols and things, but with the card row, I can't think of another one that does it with a card row like that.
How did like Paladins, when they slid off, did they give you anything?
Yeah, maybe Paladins of the West Kingdom was kind of like that.
I think they gave you a bonus. I don't think you had to complete them. I think they just gave you a bonus, if I remember. But it would be similar to Paladins, where like, or what's the Ezra and Nehemiah, where you have, they don't slide off, but
they like
they build up. They have the flag, so like
Yeah.
kind of that same vibe. But I think the bottom part of that gives this whole like the thing a whole new wrinkle of like, can you score it? Do you get a bonus?
Yeah,
are you going to take
getting extra stuff is nice.
Yeah, or do you take a lower card that doesn't score because it gives you a bonus and you can actually do it, or you take a higher card that scores but doesn't give you anything right then when it slides off? So
Well, and the nighttime cards that score also give you just flat out more symbols, or
Right.
maybe it has that boat symbol on it you need. You're like, well, I'm going to take that, and every card you take that doesn't score for you, it also means it doesn't score for somebody else.
So
I didn't think about that.
So I think the most confusing thing I think for people that when I've taught the game has been you don't move your boat unless you played a boat card. So like I really try to hammer that when like I'm teaching the game because you're like, well, I got a boat symbol in my thing, so I should move boats, right? No, that's only when you play the boat card. So the boat symbol in a lot of games I've played has been fairly contentious sometimes with people like, oh, I gotta move my boat. So they just take the card for the boat symbol and I'll figure out the rest later.
at least even if they're breaking that rule, they got to pay a bunch of coins to get new boats out. So they can't keep doing that.
That's true. I mean, the first couple times I played this, I felt money was really tight in this game and like messing with your favor. And now that I've played it a little bit, like there's definitely an ebb and flow to where you
Ebb and
can't-
flow.
you can't, even though we're saying you have to hammer certain things, you can't skip doing something. Like, I don't think you could play this game without messing with boats at all. You make a ton of money from that.
Well, and
you get goods from that. And like, so if you didn't do stuff with boats, it's going to make it harder for you to build stuff.
well, and like
And by building stuff is the other main way you score a bunch of points in
right,
this game.
yeah. So there's 8 end game scoring tiles, 4 of them on the boat track where you can drop your boats off, and 4 of them are on the building track where you can put builders on. Like you have to do those two things in some sort of combination. Maybe it's one or 2 builders and 3 or 4 boats got to the end, or vice versa or whatever. But there's so many points sitting out there with those that like if you don't do them, you're just going to screw yourself.
I mean, I
So-
take that back. You could maybe not do one of those if you were also doing the building buildings thing, because those buildings give you
The buildings give you so
all
much
kinds
stuff.
of stuff.
And so,
And I like
it's the boats you pay to get the boats, but then the boats give you stuff when you land them. And it's the same thing with the buildings. The buildings are expensive, but every time you land on them, you get things.
And then
So-
the arrow tokens, I feel like being extra good at this game is being able to use the arrow tokens wisely. Like next time I play, I want to try zooming around the board faster using those, and so I can hit my buildings.
Yeah, that's what I did. I don't know if you
and then,
saw,
build
but
my buildings in like the same quadrant.
the first building I built was the one that gave me an extra arrow. And so I built 2 buildings in one quadrant. I built 2 buildings in the second, like a quadrant across from it. And so many of the turns, I would just spend an arrow to go back to my buildings and get the stuff that, and I was getting an arrow basically every other time I hit my buildings. So I just had to either take a turn in between one time each round, or if I found an arrow, then I could just bang right to the. And so the buildings cost me like 15 coins. That's a lot, but I ended up getting like 20 coins from my buildings.
But the level 4 building makes you a bunch of money based on something you have. Like you get money times how many
Well,
that
the
thing
level
you have.
4, maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, I was getting a coin per good that I had.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so the last time I scored it, I got like 5 coins off of it.
And I think it's nice, if you're going to plan on doing buildings, you can see the level 5 building and what it scores. And so if you're working towards buildings, you can see what other 2 things you should maybe work towards. So then you score that
Yeah.
as well.
So this guy is also Sabika, right?
No.
No.
Mm-mm.
Nope.
Because to me, this game shares a lot of DNA with... Who's Sabika? Is that...
German people on Bitoku and
German
Yeah.
Pee Wee Herman, yeah.
and Covenant.
Interesting,
and-
because like to me, this is kind of like I think Sabika is good. I'm not trashing Sabika, but this game kind of reminded me of Sabika because of the rondel, because of the boats, because of the like buildings, which kind of like the same vibe, and you're kind of doing this sort of the same stuff. But this one felt so much better to me than that because it's easy to see how it's interconnected. The iconography is really clear in this game, and there's not a lot of deviation where you're like, I wonder if that means that. Like, I think there was one time I got the iconography, like I assumed the iconography meant something it didn't mean, and it was actually my fault because it was just right on my board what that actually should mean, and it was part of like a module,
Right.
But I just feel like this game is like the design is very efficient and easy to learn, and the teach makes total sense if you understand the components of Euro like point salad games. So that I was able to put all of my brain power into like succeeding at the game. So I think if you like Euros, like when Rob taught it, I was just like, oh, I get all of this. And since I got all of it, I didn't have to ask tons of questions. I could just start playing. So that was great. One other thought about, well, I'll save that for cons. But this game doesn't have any cons in my opinion, but there are a couple things that I think would be nice.
I mean, I don't have any more. Do you want to jump into some cons?
Sure.
You want to just start? Cam?
Okay, well, let me just, I guess, finish this thought. Building is quite expensive, and you do get a return on your buildings. Your final building costs $5, and you could get 15 points out of it because it's always like 3 times whatever the thing you can do 5 of. And if you do it 5 times, you get those 15 points. To me, when I'm going up and I have like my building market where like I can take one of the 2 available buildings, and so every time I buy a building, it like creates a new building that somebody else can see, I think works really well for the first 4 buildings, and it's like, hey, deal with it. But the 5th building, I almost just think that all of the endgame buildings should just be there and you can just take the one you want. Because you don't know what's underneath the top building. If you're building towards somebody and somebody gets there right in front of you, and you've been building towards it all game, it would be nice to be able to take the one that gets you the second best payout. You know what I'm saying?
Like looking through it.
Yeah. Because like, hey, you failed the race. That's on you. And I get that. And that works really well with like the building section over on the other side of the board. Oh, you should have built that before somebody else did. Sorry, bud. It's first come, first serve. But with the building tiles, the final building, it's like they could take the one you've been working towards, and then it's just 2 things you get 0 points for, and you spent all this time like getting ready to do your 5th building. And then I guess you just don't spend the 5 coins, whatever. But that's a pretty hefty swing that you have to deal with. Because at least on the other building sections, you have other building sections where you can keep going towards the same scoring. With the boats, you just dock for 1 point less per time you've done the thing. Anyway, I don't think it's a big issue, but I think it would just be nice.
I mean, I think if you're hammering it hard enough, you're probably getting it there first.
And I was the only person who did the buildings,
and
but
you have 2 choices, and I think you can kind of hedge your bets on those. Plus, once you get the building, you can just then try to finish
That's
other
true.
thing.
And you do have, like, if you're hammering towards buildings, you have time to finish the thing.
Yeah, and I think ultimately, if you're doing buildings, you really need to try doing those early to get more investment out of them.
In this game, I finished 3 things. I got all my boats out. I built all the buildings. I got all the goods. I helped 3 patients. I helped 1 student. I got 4 books. And I ended up even building 2 things on the castle, which I was planning not even to take that.
Yeah, I think if you do...
You get to do a lot this game if you're efficient.
Like there's 6 different things. There's 4 tiles, and then the builders and the buildings.
I think there's 7 things. There's 4 rows, 2 types of things you use the building resource for, and there's boats.
Okay. So if you factor in boats. So, I mean, I maxed out 3 of those things, and I almost maxed out a 4th thing, and then I did a little bit of...
That's exactly what I did too, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's probably more, I mean, I feel like that's about a little more than I've normally done. This is my highest score today. My biggest con, I don't know how much of it is a con, but the coolest part to me is like building the building in the middle. And like if that doesn't finish at the end of the game, it's kind of lame.
It was close.
Like it looks cool when it's done. And ultimately, like, I think I've seen people do better docking boats than building that building, because when you dock a boat, you don't have to pay anything. You're just docking it and you're actually getting stuff. And if you're allowed to dock 3 boats, like the first 3 boats in a thing, that's better than building 3 of the buildings out there that cost all those resources to get.
You do get stuff when you make the buildings too, but
I wish yeah, I know, but I wish the building, like, you have to pay 1, 2, or 3 resources for the buildings, but they're all 2 multipliers, which
I just assume that's
I feel.
whoever gets there first gets the single resource one. Whoever gets there second, like,
And
so
I guess, and maybe we're playing wrong. We're like, but I feel like sometimes there's contention in people trying to take the same scoring tokens, and sometimes everyone's like focused in on their own 2 silos, and nobody touches anybody else's. Like today, I went over there on boats and I did buildings. Another thing, nobody went there. Did anybody, like a couple of the building areas we maybe had 1 and 1 on, but everybody had a zone that was just their
like their boats, yeah. I will say that docking all the boats is a lot of work and costs a lot of coins to like get the, like, if you want to dock 4 boats, you have to spend 2, 3, 4, you have to spend 9 coins, and you have to get like 20 boat movement.
Yeah.
Whereas to build the building, you can have 1 builder card out there, 1 resource, and like it's a 1 action thing, and that would get you 2x on the thing you're trying to do. So I do think that the amount of work relative to what you're doing is probably a fair trade. However, if it just so happens that a lot of the cards you pick have boat movement on them, and it's just an afterthought, you may luck yourself into accidentally finishing boats when that wasn't even your intention. So,
and the boats combo into the building.
Yeah,
they do.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, you can buy goods.
Yeah.
To then use on the buildings if you want.
Yeah, but if you have 3 boats out and you're moving 3 times, you're getting 3 goods though. That for your
right.
And you
just get the goods.
Combo the boats into the castle building because you got 83 points from those 2 sections.
Yeah, I'm just saying that it seems like I've noticed people docking boats tend to win over people that do the builders.
Well, I think it's more powerful, but it also costs more resources to do it.
Also, there can be like chicken situation on who builds the 4th building block, then who can build like the top thing and then build the next thing. I've been in games where like nobody built that 4th block because they didn't want the next person to build the top thing. And so like I think you can run into that a little bit too, because there's no way to like build 2 in a row kind of, or maybe like you still get points for the multiplier for that. So
I think there are ways you could do it depending on how your board is set up, right? Like if you kick something off the edge, you might get an action that lets you like place a thing that gives you a building action, and then you go take a building action with your main action.
I don't think there's any cards that give you a palace building action.
No, but you kick the card off and it gives you like a book, and you place the book up to make a circuit, and you get a building action off of your board.
Yeah, maybe.
And then you go take a building action with your main action.
Still, I mean, it's pretty
to
fringe. I think.
I don't think it's fringe. I think you just have to plan on it. In which case, like, you got to execute. But I think you could plan to do that. But you just have to plan it 3 turns in advance because you have to let that card go down the row.
I guess go back to pros. I really like the favor system in this. You can always kind of get what you need, but I like the fact that you can't spend it unless you're positive favor. I always find that really unique to like mess with that favor mechanism. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I would like to have more favor next time we play.
Yeah, it definitely feels tough to get and easy to lose. So we played with a couple modules today. I think one of my bigger cons was one of the modules. It might have just been because of my initial bad choices. I don't really know. But when you circle a gate, there's basically 2 contract cards out there, and you have to put a cube on one of them. And then with that said, if you don't have this stuff, so like basically it says, like, hey, have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of whatever the thing is that is on the card, right? Of the 6 different actions, right? One of the first one is if you don't have that, it's a bad thing. And I felt like this game maybe burns my brain enough that I don't need to also think about having the right things at the right time for my card and to pass the gate. And then, if I have, one of those things or 2 of those things and somebody else is taking those things, then now I'm getting stuck with the bad thing, and getting 3 of anything at the beginning of the game is tough. So I didn't love that. I thought this game is good enough without it, that I don't feel like it added enough to the game where if you are hammering it could it feels like win more, right? If you're already doing the stuff and then
both
you just
of those
get more
modules
stuff.
are like that.
Yeah.
And I feel like when you add extra components to a game, like Coffee Rush is the big criminal in my opinion. Like the cake expansion just like balloons the economy of that game, and like then it's just like weird and goofy. But like when I'm going through that gate, if I can do something good, I get extra stuff, and it doesn't cost me anything.
Right.
It's just what I was already doing. However, if the game punishes you for not doing the things it wants you to do, which already feels like you're being limited, and then you lose something. Meanwhile, down below, if you just have the right goods, like you do plan to do that, and I did plan to be able to do those things, you get extra actions. Now, there is a trade-off for
you get extra symbols.
You get extra symbols to do an action better, but it's the same money you get, although that module, at least there is the trade-off of you can't sell more goods to get more money. Like, so if you need 5 coins, like it's a nice way to get 3 coins and an extra action symbol. But I guess if you wanted to trade in 4 things and get 5 coins, then at least you can't. You're being limited somehow.
I didn't mind that one at all. I thought that was fine.
Yeah, I think the trade one or that one was fine, and then the card one for the objectives was unnecessary.
Well, the trade one felt like it was just part of the base game to me. Like, and I know I played with it the first time, but it seemed like a base game.
Yeah, I just wanted to try a couple of the modules because I hadn't tried them yet.
The gate seemed like it was a tack on.
The third one, it has a different gate, and it basically lets you build these public buildings, and I'm not 100% sure how it works. I think this is like by far the biggest module. I think I'll probably play it soon, and I'll talk about it maybe on the next episode.
Yeah, I mean, I'd play it. I think the contract one, not the contract one, the one where you pass the golden gate, I think it's unnecessary.
Yeah, no, I don't think I'd play with that one again either.
Yeah.
I don't think it added anything special.
You want to do final thoughts?
Yeah, so on the Boardboys podcast, we have a 3-boing rating scale, 0 being the worst, 3 being the best. One time, you can give your 4-boing game. A 0-boing game, half-boings are allowed, thank you, and a 0-boing game in the world of Baghdad, City of Peace is, I don't know, probably the first 3 times I played this game and scored half the points everybody else did.
Yeah, just meandering around and not getting your cards done. And
just going through the desert, just walking through the desert aimlessly and not building anything. The 3-boing game of Baghdad is you build that whole building in the middle with all the walls and all the pillars, and it's beautiful.
Tight.
So good. I'll go first.
The 3 boings from Gia.
Baghdad City of Peace for me, I think it was my game of 2025, my new game of 2025. Still is. 3 boings. I am sad that it is not going to be more readily available for general population consumption.
I did check. It is not for sale on Alley Cat Games website.
Okay, yeah, I looked too. I didn't see it, and I didn't see it anywhere online. It looks like there was
$200 on Geek Market.
Yeah, there's a couple copies on BGG. I mean, this is solid. Hopefully, they will reprint this with like their next Kickstarter game. So keep an eye out on that for Alley Cat Games.
And bring it to BGA.
This would be a really banging VGA game. Yeah, like Alley Cat Games, this thing is just, it's everything I like about it in a game. It makes my brain hum so good.
Like, if I was the 2 designers, I would be annoyed that you just can't get this game. You know, maybe that's what they signed up for.
I'd be calling BGA and being like, get this one on there.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be calling them and be like, I'm going to get somebody else to print this for me, you know.
I will be at Geekway to the West coming up in May. So if you're listening to this and you're going to be at Geekway, I will bring Baghdad City of Peace and we can play it.
Cool.
So I guess that's the one thing. I own a game that's hard to get, so people want to play with me.
There you go.
Please come play games with me.
Yeah, I'm sure you lack with that, you know. All right, yeah, so for me, I think I'm going to go 2.5. The first play I had is when I felt like I did everything I wanted to do. This one, I felt like I floundered a little bit. So, like, I kind of feel like I'm bouncing back.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah, like, I would, it's fun. This game's really fun. It definitely makes me AP more than I probably normally do, which is maybe good for a game, but also makes me feel bad about, you know, taking a long time.
You didn't take as long as me.
Maybe. I don't know.
Truth.
Yeah, okay.
This was my first time, though.
Yeah.
It was my first game.
But I do like it. It is definitely disappointing, and maybe that's part of the reason that it's just not readily available, because I do think it deserves to be played. So 2.5 for me.
Here's my thing. I don't know if it's totally fair for me to keep giving games 3s every time I come on the podcast, because I feel like I got a long string of 3s. And I know these guys choose games that I'll like when I'm on the podcast.
We do.
Because I had to miss so many frequently.
Well, hey, real quick. This one, if you give this one a 3, Drizzle Door, you gave a 3. And then after that, your last 3 was like alma mater a year ago. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I did do a lot of 2s and 2.5s. Yep. Okay. So I do want to give this game a 3. I just learned, I found out, during the post game that you can't just go buy it, which that's a smudge.
It is a smudge.
The game is a 3. The overall thing is like a 2. Oh, Gia, do you want to say? Okay, Gia, I'm just basing this off of how good is the game, and I'm gonna say, Gia, do you want to say 3? Say 3 really loud. 3 boings. Say 3 boings. Say boing, boing, boing.
Boing, boing, boing.
There we go. Love it.
Thank you, Gia. Board girl Gia. Board boy Gia.
All right.
Gia's a girl, but she's a board boy, right? So.
Yes, perfect. So that'll wrap us up for Baghdad. We do like to look back 1 year in the past, a segment we called Bumper Dump. I wonder if Cam can get Gia to sing the song.
Okay, Gia, let's sing this song. We go, okay, to get this lollipop, you have to go, board boys bump. Okay, go, baby, turn around. I want to see that fun board game go. Board boys bump.
We almost did it.
We opened up the mystery dum-dum, and it's blue, and that's pretty exciting.
That is a very exciting.
I did not check to see if this is on. I just kind of pull on the dum-dum to make sure it's not like...
it comes right off.
It
goes straight down her throat, yeah. You are a better parent than me. I never check that thing. So it is, right now, it is a 8.2. Before it was an 8.2 for $5.99. This is Civolution. I don't know if I actually said that, but...
should bring Civolution to Peru and just solo it.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, so it's a bump. It's 197 right now, so it's on its way to the top 100. I would have guessed it's going to get the top 100 here.
Hang on.
The next year, right?
Yes, I did just play this on Tuesday to make sure I'd played it recently. I can tell you right now, Civolution still does rock.
Is it still your 4 boing?
It is still 4 boings.
Okay, sweet.
I mean, like, it's there, baby.
Swallowing.
That and Terrascape.
Yeah.
Like, it had been a while since we played it. We taught somebody new. I don't think they play some heavy games, but not maybe like this heavy. And like, they just got it. Like the action selection is just so simple in air quotes.
But like, it shows you what you can do. And like, everybody understands the concept of like, hey, I want to try to make this happen. Okay, do that action. What do I need? This dice and this dice. Okay, I'll get those.
Yeah, I got to upgrade my procreation to level 3 really fast. And I made so many babies and then didn't feed them. So I didn't let anybody die.
Yeah, there you go.
To be fair.
Yeah, so they're just hungry.
Yeah, they're hungry. So there's a little expansion that I was hoping would come out before the look back. It's just now kind of becoming available, so I'm sure we'll review that in a segment coming up. But it's like a few little small baby modules that you throw in. I don't think it's anything huge.
Yeah. So if you'd like to give us some feedback, you can do so at our Board Game Geek Guild. You can find that through our website. So Ryan says, only have solo plays of Civolution, but it's certainly a favorite. Great dice selection, great mechanism, overall board play. Though I wish the cards were a bit easier to get out. Otherwise, fantastic game, 3 boing.
Bootleg Talk, has anybody played the tabletop simulator mod for Civolution?
Mm-mm.
Is there one?
I assume so.
Because if there's automation on that single player,
I assume so.
That could be a place to bang out some Civolution. And there's a Stefan game or two on BGA, so maybe one day.
Yeah. Maybe you'll have to write it.
And then, can you imagine soloing Civolution on BGA? That would be immaculate.
Be sick.
You don't get to eat 2 lollipops. You got to give me one of them.
Yeah, Cam's little girl is just devouring these lollipops and then switching them, and it's fun to watch. So Jeremy Dobler, our buddy Jeremy Dobler, says, oh, yeah, sorry, I skipped one here. Let me go back because he actually references this. But BJ says, unfortunately, I still have only one play, that epic early morning teach and play with Rob and Virla and Mike E at BGG Con. I loved it when I played it and have no desire to play it again, unlike Castles Burgundy or Trajan or Aquasphere. I would give it 2.5 boings, but Virla will just edit this out of the podcast. That's how you say her name, right? Virla?
Virla.
My bad. Sorry, Virla.
What's up, Verla? Long time no see. Hope you're doing good.
Jeremy Dobler says he's going to have to fix that one play for BJ on his Euro Monday. He still really enjoys the game and thinks it's a natural next generation evolution from Castles of Burgundy with the dice mechanisms where you can use a pair to perform an action, though it's neatly wrapped in a Civilization simulator board game. Christopher Boat says, I only have one play under my belt. It shows potential, but I have really high expectations for Feld games compared to other Feld titles. This one feels like a 2-pointer where normally it's a 3 for him on other Felds. And then Ben R., I had a rocky start with this game, thinking I might hate it after my first play. I saw it on the store shelf and decided to give it another shake. Played it solo half a dozen times and a few more 3 or 4 player games after that. And I can comfortably say it's pretty good. I wouldn't call it my favorite, but there's a lot of variety to be had in the games, and with how objectives can come up and the cards you can see. While the dice rolls can be quite unforgiving, you at least have some tools to mitigate them. 2.5 points.
Yeah, I remember teaching him that, I think, last GammaCon. And I remember he had a pretty bad time.
I was there for that, right?
Yeah, and then bought the game just to like anger play it.
That is a move. That's like kind of a Cam move.
It's definitely a Cam move.
Like Ben is a guy who has like really like, if you hear Ben's thoughts on the game, you're like, oh yeah, that's exactly what I think Ben would think about it. But he took a move out of the old Cam playbook there, buying a game he didn't like and then loving it.
All right, well, that's it for another episode of the Board Boys Podcast, Season 18, Episode 6, Baghdad, the City of Peace. You go to theboardboys.com, check out all our links there. Go give us some 5-star iTunes or Spotify reviews. If you had some issues with the last episode on Apple Podcasts, reach out and let me know on the Discord, or you can email me at rob@theboardboys.com. There's some Apple Podcast wonkiness.
Don't email Rob on Saturday, though.
Oh boy. I'd like to thank our patrons now. BJ from Board Game Gumbo, Timothy Crisco, Shifty Teeth, Jordan Smith, Andre Bosch, Braden Dowdy, Rob Cooper, Richard Lane, Matt Kelly, Portland Gamecraft, Terry Ward, Mark D. IV, and Jeremy Thoman. Thanks again, everybody, and until next time.
Wait, really quick. Games. Welcome to America, Rob Cooper. And then also, Gia, do you want to close the podcast out? Do you want to tell us anything? How do you feel about Gabby, your sister? You want to tell us something about Gabby? No, well, yeah, we know you like apple juice, but what do you think about Gabby? Is Gabby big or small? Okay, well, sorry about that. Maybe she'll get her to say something on the next podcast. So, Rob?
Until next time, we hope you like board games.
Boing, boing, boing. Welcome to Baghdad, the City of Peace, the ancient world's foremost center of learning and intellectual exchange. Traverse the bustling city streets, educate yourself at the House of Wisdom, and behold the wonder of the Palace of the Golden Gate. So I think we'll leave my mistake in there because there wasn't even anything that funny. This is a good back of the box, though. It lets you know what's going on. This is, by the way, guys, we're about to play a Mega Rondel Worker placement game. All caps. Mega Rondel Worker. So maybe should I run that one again and try to find something funny?
Yeah, do it again. I'm chewing.
Yeah, okay. And we had Gia walking by talking, so. Cacao!